Well, the St. Louis Cardinals just dropped 2 of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. There is some shakeups in the NL Central in terms of teams buying and selling, some significant injuries, and we've got some information on what the Cardinals are wanting to do at this next deadline, potentially with some players available. We'll talk about all of this and more. And is there a concern level after this Pirates series on this episode of Dealing the Cards? Well, I mean, you're not going to win every series, right? But sometimes it's about how you lose them that makes a difference here. And I think two of the significant weaknesses of this Cardinals team was highlighted in the series against the Pirates. Game 2, obviously, it's Paul Skenes, so you don't really. I'm not going to care at all about the offense output in that game because no one can hit that guy right now. But again, the Cardinals' ability to hit left-handed pitching continues to show, and it's not good. And it kind of needs to be studied how historically bad this drop-off has been. They used to be one of the best teams in all baseball as of 2 years ago. They're slightly below league average last year against left-handed hitting or pitching. This year, they're atrocious. So that's been a thing. And then the middle of the bullpen is kind of starting to show its cracks a little bit. There's also that weird bullpen game that they tried to do with Matthew Liberatore here and there. Again, I'm not concerned necessarily that they dropped this series. I think more so it just highlights the weaknesses of this team right now. And with those weaknesses, Sandy, how concerned are you about this team pre-deadline, before they make moves? Like, how desperate are they to make moves for the bullpen, rotation, lineup? What's your concern level right now?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I learned anything new about the team, I guess, in this series. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that we've seen the whole time, right? The offense sometimes leaves a lot to be desired. I'm concerned about the offense just like I was before. I think you can say the offense struggled in the same ways that they normally do too. They didn't slug and they didn't hit with runners on. Those are two really big issues. Those are glaring issues for a team that's gearing up for a postseason run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just as concerned as I was. I think I said I was a 7 in terms of situational hitting probably a week ago. I don't think that's changed. I don't think the Atlanta series changed that. They should have swept Atlanta. If they could hit with runners in scoring position, they would have swept Atlanta. That was an easy win that they should have gotten. So there's obviously that. But the strengths continue to show as well. The bullpen this series was outstanding. Yeah. I know the bullpen got the loss in that first game. I'm not really going to blame them. Those were a couple of balls that John King gets all the time, and those are usually outs. So I'm not upset about that. And the bullpen today was fine. They didn't score off the bullpen. It was Liberatore. It was weird circumstances to have him starting in the first place. We've talked about why he started. There was the doubleheader coming out of the All-Star break. So it kind of is what it is right now. But yeah, I didn't learn anything new. The offense still sucks and they still can't hit lefties.
Yeah, and speaking of Ryan, thanks for the super chat here. We'll highlight this as well. Yep, his poor against that 5.17 ERA from Martin Perez. But he's suggesting Ivan and Gordon for Jack Flaherty, but I know you meant Flaherty. So we'll talk some Jack Flaherty later because I'm still flabbergasted how out people are on it. I understand why people are out to an extent, but I don't think people understand how good Jack's been. That is part of the story, right? Is that they just can't hit this left-handed pitching. And it doesn't matter how good or bad the left-handed pitcher is, they just can't hit it right at this point. Some of it's a symptom of being a predominantly left-handed hitting lineup, like Alec Burleson. For as much as we love him and think he's been awesome this year, because he has been, he's not good against left-handed pitching. Neither is Lars Nootbaar. Brendan Donovan is so-so at best. Nolan Gorman, not good against left-handed pitching. Michael Ciani's awful against left-handed pitching. Then Goldschmidt's been pretty good this year, but Arenado's fallen off. Like, Jordan Walker's not there, and that's a guy you would have thought would do that. So it's really the Wilson Contreras show and then everyone else when it's left-handed pitching. So kind of a problem. Andrew, I mean, we know it's a problem, but do you see any ways that they can fix this even with deadline moves, or is this just like, I don't know, like this is a team-wide issue. It's kind of hard to believe that adding one bat fixes that.
Yeah, I mean, you need to see more out of Goldschmidt and Arenado, and it's just kind of the same story, and you can't really replace either of those guys as much as I would like to try to move off one of them at the trade deadline. It's just not really going to happen. It's not how the Cardinals operate. It's not how it's just not good for the clubhouse. It's not going to happen. So you need to see more production just out of them. Something has to click. Maybe they're going to, like, one of them is going to have a monster second half like another guy we saw a couple of years ago. Probably not, because that was weird, and it's probably not going to happen again. But that needs to happen. Tommy Edman needs to come back. He's really good against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
And then, I mean, I guess you go out and you get a platoon bat for center field or one of the outfield positions, right? There's guys that are out there that aren't going to be that expensive, that aren't going to play every day, but you can slot them in the lineup in favor of a Newbar or a Burleson or a Donovan, just when you need to face a lefty, and it'll just make the lineup a little bit more balanced. And obviously, coming into this season, you thought you were going to have Tommy Edman healthy. That never happened. Paul Goldschmidt was supposed to not completely bottom out. That didn't happen. Nolan Arenado was supposed to bounce back. That didn't happen. So there's a lot of things have gone wrong with like your right-handed predominantly hitting players. Dylan Carlson's been horrible. He's another guy that's supposed to be in there every day against lefties. He's better against lefties than he is against righties, but he's still really bad because just across the board, just how it's been. So you need your guys to figure that out. I don't expect Carlson to be on the team for much longer, so that shouldn't really be an issue, but you need to go out and get another right-handed bat that can just platoon, which is weird because this team, as we've said, it's historically dominated those types of pitchers.
Yeah. And I think to your point, Tommy Edman coming back would be really helpful. I can't solve all the issues, but again, that is someone that's historically hit left-handed pitching, but what are we going to get from Tommy Edman at this point? Who knows? So when are we going to get Tommy Edman? Who knows? And let alone what kind of production you're going to get from Tommy Edman. I don't know. I mean, there were some chats in here about us making excuses maybe here, and I don't hear us doing that at all. I'm saying, like, I don't know how the Cardinals fix. Like, I don't think there's one or two moves they can make that would be helpful, but it won't solve the problem. What solves the problem is Paul Goldschmidt needs to be better. Nolan Arenado needs to be better. Even these left-handed bats that struggle against left-handed pitching, they can't struggle as bad as they have, right? Like, they got to be better. So yeah, there's a lot of that. It is interesting though. Like, you look at Sandy's point, like that Paul Skenes start, they did manage to put up 2 runs on a guy that no one really scores on. They beat him. I don't know if anyone should be writing home that you beat Paul Skenes because you scored 2 runs off him in 9 innings. His ERA went up. But I do think you kind of can talk about like that 8th or that 9th inning there when you had Win on second base, then not Win on second base, Siani on second base, which was a great at bat for Michael Siani, by the way. Bunt him over, which was good situational awareness there. And in the moment, I get having your leadoff hitter bunt's kind of interesting. Like, what are you doing? But Alec Burleson, of all people in the world, with a runner on third base and 1 out, I trust him to make a productive out or single into right field like he did. So, like, there have been some improvements like that where earlier in the season, I have zero confidence in any hitter on this team producing in that spot, but they did there. But in general, like, what was it, 9 walks today, and they scored 0 runs? Like, that's insane. I think they're the first team. I think I saw that they're the first team in baseball history, or at least in the modern era, to not put up a run in a game where there was 9 walks. Like, they just, I don't get it. I don't understand why they, I don't know. It feels like there was early in the season, we've talked about this. There wasn't really a discrepancy between how they're hitting without runners on versus runners on. It was just all bad. But ever since like that May start date, it's been like, they just, for some reason, when the chips are on the line, they don't produce. Besides Alec Burleson and Wilson Contreras, Mason Wynn sometimes comes up clutch. Brendan Donovan, I'll put him in that category too. I feel like he does a good job. But as a team collectively, like, what's happening here? So it's not making excuses or not necessarily saying like we think this, like, we're not trying to give the team flowers by saying they have to improve internally. It's like, hey, like, they can't get a whole new lineup overnight. They can't trade for 5 bats. Like, this is the team you have. In the offseason, you can blow things up if you wanted to, but this is the lineup they got to roll out, and it's got to figure it out. And I don't have the names on the lineup card still give me more confidence than what we're seeing. But again, we're end of July now, and we're still saying what's happening here. So, yeah, I also think we can talk again. Like, we understand that the bullpen game thing had to happen because of that doubleheader, but it's another indictment on the front office that you don't trust a single arm at AAA to come up for a day and throw a game for you. Like, they did the Graceffo twice, and now they decided they're out on that too. So I don't really know what to say about it anymore.
Like, I don't.
What was that?
That wasn't even that bad. Like, Graceffo's start against Kansas City was fine.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with it anymore. So here, so Ryan, we'll address this one really quick, but then we'll do some trade stuff at the end, because I actually did want to throw out a question to you guys later about should the Cardinals consider some more radical ideas? Because I've been thinking about it, and I'm actually kind of buying into the idea that you could be aggressive. They're not going to be aggressive like that. They're not going to be this aggressive. But I've been kind of running it in my head. I'm like, why not? But Walker, I'm guessing Gordon Graceffo, Roby, Matthews, Tinksa, JC for Rooker, Miller, and Paul Blackburn. Who says no?
I think the Cardinals and A's both say no to this.
Oh, you think the A's do too?
I think so. I think the A's look at Mason Miller and they think they can get a lot for Mason Miller, I think.
I mean, that's 2 top 100 prospects and Walker, though.
Yeah, but I think the A's think they could get 2 to 3 top 100 prospects for him and 1 to 2 for Rooker.
Potentially. Yeah.
I could see the A's saying no. I also think the Cardinals say no. Like,
yeah, I do too.
Cardinals are mortgaging their entire future and they need to win. Like, if they get Rooker and Miller and give all this up, that's like, we need to win in the next 2 years.
Well, not necessarily, because you've got 5 years of control with Miller after this, and Rooker, you have 3 more after this too. I'll give some of my thoughts later. I don't love this specific package, but Ryan, a Mason Miller and Brett Rooker deal, I'm kind of on train with you. So we'll talk more.
You have
later.
to give up a lot.
They would, but I don't know. I'm not as I don't know.
Why do they need Mason Miller though? Like for this year?
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it, I guess.
But
I don't know.
Baseball America put out something where it was like the best prospects that have been traded since 2010 or something like that. And the only one that actually panned out was like CJ Abrams. Like I should find the graphic. But you look at the names and you're like, that guy was like the 12th ranked prospect in baseball and got moved at the deadline.
He's in class now, right?
Not or he wasn't like a top 15 prospect in baseball. They're talking about the best prospects to ever be moved at the deadline according to the rankings.
I mean, he was a top 100 guy, and so
yeah, but like that's the. I mean, top 100. They on average 3.5 top 100 guys get moved at a deadline, but then they're like top 20 guys. It's super rare. Yeah. But like to be fair, if a team is moving a top 20 prospect, there's probably a reason they're open to moving that guy.
That's true.
So that's all. It's hard to do apples to oranges with, or it's kind of apples to oranges with that. But it was interesting. In general, I think that you get the best players in the deal usually win the deal. But we'll get to that. So I do think, though, it's important because there was some pretty recent news that came out tonight before we went live, obviously. There you see at the top of the NL Central, the Brewers have been leading the way so far, but Christian Yelich now has a back injury and may be out the rest of the season. It's kind of inconclusive so far on what that's going to look like. You have the Reds and Cubs a few days ago announced themselves as sellers. So 2 teams that you kind of thought maybe you would try to push up in the NL Central aren't doing anymore. So really it's the Brewers, who are now weakened again, the Pirates, who are coming on strong. We got to acknowledge that. And the Cardinals here. Sandy, is there anything you're taking from the NL Central race right now? Can
I defend myself real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ryan's another super chat. If you're listening to audio, it says Debbie Downer Andrew, what you gonna do when the Cardinals intimidate the Dodgers or eliminate the Dodgers in the NLCS?
Okay, first of all, I don't like if the Cardinals and Dodgers don't meet in the NLDS. I don't think the Dodgers are gonna be in the NLCS because they just choke every year in the playoffs. So I'm not really worried about that. Also, if that happened, like I'd be very happy about it. Like I don't know, like what do you want me to say?
No, Andrew's gonna be coping.
Andrew is like a bleeds Dodger blue, but not as much as Cardinal red. He doesn't. It's
I removed the Ohtani jersey off my wall when we played them on opening day. It wasn't
okay.
There.
I can deal with that. That's good evidence.
Like it's just not there. Like I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out when they come to town in like a week or 2.
Before you get to the NLCS, though, you got to get through the NL Central. So, Sandy. Reds and Cubs are like sayonara, we're selling, which is hilarious because all offseason those 2 teams specifically wanted to say they ran the NL Central.
To the Dodgers, let's start those rumors like right now. It's never going to happen, but like I need to start all those rumors. So
Imanaga trade.
Hey, Justin Steele trade could happen. They've said that. And then, but then the Brewers, obviously, with all season they've been overperforming, and then
they're coming down to earth a little bit.
So I don't know. Does this change much of the NL Central for you right now?
Yeah, absolutely. The Brewers, it feels like it feels all year like they've just kind of walked this tightrope. Like you watch a Brewers game and here's kind of how it goes. The Brewers start some rando like Colin Rea or like Misiorowski, someone you've never heard of. He takes the mound. He looks really rocky.
Misiorowski is like a top 100 prospect. So
I'm not going to listen to that right now. Okay. Nobody knows who that is. He takes the mound, looks really rocky, like walks a couple, not very efficient. Defense makes insane plays, like Blake Perkins, who the heck is Blake Perkins? Robs a 3-run homer or something like that. Just annoying stuff. They're barely in this game. And then they'll go down. They'll go down in like the 5th or the 6th inning. The other team will like put some runs on them. And then Rhys Hoskins or like Willie Adames or some just like kind of bum will come up with 2 on, 2 out. And it's like the fakest rally ever. Okay. Like you'll have William Contreras draw a walk that shouldn't have been a walk. And then somebody else will get on. And then Rhys Hoskins, 3-run homer to take the lead. And then the bullpen locks it down. But of course it's not like, it doesn't look great. Like Payamps will walk 3 and somehow escape a jam on like some lucky line out unassisted double play. Like that's a Brewers game for you. Okay. That's what it feels like when you watch.
Like you watched the game yesterday.
Yeah, I did. And I was just whatever. This is how it feels when you watch the Brewers play baseball.
Yeah.
It's just like the timeliest runners in scoring position hitting with the shakiest possible rotation and bullpen made up of guys where you're like, who is this guy? Yeah. Why is this team in first place? And so I think losing a guy like Christian Yelich, who when you look at his numbers, you're like, yeah, it's not a surprise. Like he hasn't been great in recent years, but like this is a household name. Christian Yelich has an MVP, probably should have another one. It's not a shock that this guy's producing at a high level. So
Ryan, we appreciate the super chats. We're not throwing that one up. Though.
Crazy. But it's not a shock. So to see him go down, that's a big blow for the Brewers. No pun intended. It's a big blow for the Brewers, and it's not great for them. So I think that it's going to really hurt them in the race.
Andrew might need to hop off for a bit. Jeez.
Andrew's not handling this.
No, I mean, I don't blame him. Oh my
I don't even think I've mentioned Shohei Ohtani's name the entire stream.
Okay, but to be fair, you do usually funnel him into any discussion possible.
Oh, you're talking about the Brewers? The Brewers play baseball. You know who else plays baseball? Shohei Ohtani. Baseball.
Okay. This is falling off the rails real quick here.
Let's get back on track with Cubs and Reds, though. Like, how about the fact that they're selling, and it's so nice to see them just eat crow. Like, that makes me really happy.
We should have had some kind of graphic and music to bury their season. Hey, on the deadline stream, we should do that when they start selling people. We got to have some like gravesides or, anyways. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's so good.
John Morosi, a shortstop, and the Reds have one.
Was it John Morosi who before the season was like, one of my big takes is that the Reds will run the National League Central?
Probably.
Was that him?
Everyone was saying that.
Yeah, Ben Verlander picked him to win.
We were saying that. We were saying that.
Not when Matt McClain got hurt.
I wasn't.
But like,
I've been a Reds hater.
Like, Ben Verlander was all in on the Reds, and people were riding the Cubs. And you know what? To see the Cubs lose and to just go to Cody Delmendo's page occasionally after a Cubs loss and see him post the sad picture of himself, it just makes me happy sometimes. I just like to see the Cubs struggle.
It's enjoyable. He accused me of tweet searching him, but I guess you're the one who actually does that.
I did once. I did once to see what happened.
Hey,
but it's nice.
It feels like the Cardinals fan base is much like our country sometimes, very divided.
True.
The one thing that can unite us all is that we hate the Cubs. And when they're losing, it doesn't matter how we feel about the Cardinals.
And they dropped out of the race.
The Cubs suck. So this is amazing. This is amazing. And so I wish the Cubs would have done one of those tweets like "Can't hear you from 10 games back" or whatever when it was Mother's Day, because that would be gold right now. But I do think. I mean, we've talked about this already, so we don't necessarily need to hammer it home necessarily. But the NL in general just feels like the worst luck is happening to all these different teams. Also, that could start happening to the Cardinals at some point, injuries-wise. I mean, they've been pretty lucky this year when you think about it. Actually, that's not necessarily true. They lost Wilson Contreras for a while, lost Yusei Kikuchi. I would say pitching-wise, they've been pretty lucky injuries-wise. The bullpen has experienced some, but that always happens. Yeah, but it's Steven Matz. Like, we all kind of knew that was going to happen. I mean, I know you and me, Sandy, were hopeful that he was going to be better this year, but
I needed it.
I do think what this does say though is, I mean, you look at the last 30 days, they are cooling off. Like the Cardinals are like it's not, they're not cooling off in terms of they're regressing back into that team we saw early in the year, but they're playing more like that 500 team that people thought they would be after being on fire for a while. You look at the last 30 days, Contreras and Alec Burleson have OPSs over 800. Then it's Pedro Pages, a 750, Nolan Arenado 750, and then drops off from there. Like, guys are just, they aren't hitting.
Lars Nootbaar's not hitting.
Yeah, the rotation's been, I mean, it's been good enough to win games, but not good enough with how the lineup's producing. The bullpen's been a little bit shakier. So I do think there's a little bit of a nexus point for me. There's 3 ways they can go here as we talk about trades. They can incrementally improve, where they kind of just like maintain being a slightly above 500 team, and that's like the Tyler Andersons, that's the Kevin Pillar, and that's random bullpen arm. They can make significant moves in the Eovaldi range or higher than that and go and try to be a contender. Or if they stand pat, that's when I'm worried this team could fall off. I don't know if this team has enough ammo internally without making a couple upgrades to keep contending how it is. That's the part where I'm like, okay, then I can see the bullpen falling apart. I can see the rotation falling apart. I can see this offense just not producing. So I do think this is a really important deadline where they have to figure out how to do something, but it can't be if we're on this trade deadline stream and you see Tyler Anderson's traded to the Cardinals, I might log off. I might not even react. That might be my reaction is I'm done, because they can't do that. It's just some of the names I'm seeing thrown out, the Cal Quantrill.
What if they also give us Mike
Austin
Trout?
Gomber. Okay, okay, that's different. But if the headliner is like, hey, the Cardinals are bringing in a 5th starter and a guy that can kind of pitch the 7th inning and Justin Turner, then it's like.
But would you be shocked if that's what happens?
I wouldn't be, but I'm saying they should. That should not. And I'm predicting they'll do a little bit more than that. But I think it's in the range of outcomes, and that would be a really bad outcome. So I don't know. We should. Yeah.
I guess I have to ask this. I feel that over the last 2 weeks, as the team has cooled off, I have felt that there is more of a reason to invest less. But you think there's more. You're thinking from a needs standpoint, where it's like, the Cardinals are not playing as well. They need to do more, right? The way I guess I see it is the Cardinals are not playing as well. They're going to do less.
Yeah, I guess it's like maybe it's specifically the idea of if they added another starter, but it wasn't a guy who's a difference maker. I think it's such a lateral move where I think you're wasting assets. Like, why even make the move? If they're going to go small, then I think small should be add 2 bullpen arms instead of 1, and maybe that right-handed bat. If you're going to buy, make it mean something. If it's not going to mean something, then why are you even giving up these assets? Because Tyler Anderson, I'm sorry, he might help you get into the playoffs, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah, you don't win anything once you're there.
Cal Quantrill, it's like, I mean, I know the price to acquire those guys isn't that high, but I'm like, I would rather turn that into another reliever at that point and be like, okay, like now we've got a 8-man group that's truly an 8-man group here.
True.
Then to like go after another starter that you're kind of like, they're not better than Andre Palante.
Like, the thing is, it should be Lance Lynn that's axed from the rotation at this point.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Palante is a much better starter right now than Lynn is. I feel like I can say that.
Oh, he's been Bernie Miklas had let me find it real quick.
I feel like Palante has gotten a little bit lucky.
I don't know.
Lance Lynn has gotten very lucky too, but I think Palante's gotten a little bit lucky.
Since Palante joined the rotation May 29th, Lynn's ERA is 5.77, Gibson's is 4.57, Gray's is 4.45, Michaelis is 4.40, and Palante is 3.42.
He's been
now. I do think
horrible start in Washington.
Yeah, and I do think to your point, Andrew, like Palante is probably outperforming his abilities right now, so he's probably more of a low 4 ERA guy in general, but he has been he's producing. That's what matters.
I feel like Palante gets the double play a lot more than he should.
Maybe.
Well, that's also the kind of pitcher he is.
Well, Palante's flip is identical. It's identical. He's not allowing homers.
He keeps it on the ground, but I feel like those balls, like more often than not, sneak through. Like in the past, they've snuck through at a higher rate.
He's talked about this, and other people have talked about this, where the part of the problem with him being a reliever is that when you come in with runners on, you can't afford a ball going through the middle, because that's all we're going to remember, right? It's that when you're a starter, you can work into your own jams a little bit, and so it allows him the freedom to be like, oh, I gave up a single here, it's okay, I can get another ground ball, and this one will be a double play instead. Obviously, it's not how it always works, so you have a 0 ERA. But I think there's actually validity to the point that Palante is better as a starter than he is a reliever because of the way he pitches his games and the way he induces ground balls. Is that if you bring him in a spot, I don't know that ground ball luck if it's going to go to Mason Wynn or if it's going to go up the middle. So Anyways.
Oh no, I understand that. And I would much rather remove Lynn from the rotation right now. I'm just saying, like, Palante's not like a number 2 starter. Like some people are making.
No, I don't think either of us are saying that.
Right.
No.
But let me just make the case for Palante really quickly. I just wrote an article on the fact that if you check it out at Red Bull Rants, Palante should be kept in the rotation if they get another person. Lynn should be gone. I took a look at Lynn, Palante, Michaelis, and Gibson, and I think it's clear that Lynn's the odd man out in this group. If you look at Miles Michaelis, he's pitched like the second best starter on this team for the last 2.5 months. He's been great since a terrible start, which is nice to see. But if you look at Palante, okay, Josh said 3.42 ERA. This is over 9 starts now. The FIP is 3.77. He's still allowing 8.5 hits per 9. So it's not like he's getting super lucky. The BABIP is not crazy low. It's not like nothing's getting through. He's still allowing ground balls to get through occasionally. What you kind of get with Palante is you get 6 innings and he probably gives up 2 runs because eventually a couple of those grounders get through. But he's not getting absurdly lucky. He's also limiting home runs. In 48 innings, he's allowed 4 homers. But also Palante's been pretty good at suppressing home runs throughout his career. So that's not like an insane thing. I think the big thing for him has been the fact that he's limiting walks. Palante's been great about that this year, ever since he got moved out of the bullpen. Also, Palante was terrible in the bullpen earlier this year. So bad that it was literally impossible to use him anymore. He pitched like the 7th through the 9th and then got sent down the next day earlier this season. He's managed to lower his season ERA under 4 now, which is insane when you think about how high it was when he came back up. So I really think Palante deserves much more credit than he's gotten. The team wins when he pitches too. I'm pretty sure the Cardinals are like, what is this? They were like 1-6 or something like that when he pitched earlier, but now they're above 500 in games that he like starts. I think they're 5-4.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I'm in on Palante. I'm out on Lance Lynn as the 5th starter right now.
Hey, Ryan wants to know what we're going to do when they win the World Series on a live stream. We'll get there because it's going to happen.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
It might be 2035, but it's going to
be 2035. We'll see. I do think though, like, I mean, you guys have seen the names they're connected to, like, and it's not just like sometimes national people, like even this offseason, they're like, oh, I think the Cardinals should go get Blake Snell. And it's like, well, we all know that's probably not going to happen. Like, that's just not what their personality is.
Well,
but
they might get Blake Snell.
They could now.
What I've heard. I heard something about it.
But who said that?
Like some Sports Illustrated article linked us to Blake Snell. I don't know if it was real or not, but like,
yeah,
as high as
they aggregate stuff. But I would say like, but you look at the names that John Denton's throwing out there, that Derek Gould's throwing out there, that Bob Nightingale, Jim Bowden, like some of them are the small names, right? Like Hal Quantrill, Tyler Anderson stuff, but Erick Fedde's in there, Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer. Jim Bowden did say today the Cardinals have talked to the White Sox about Garrett Crochet. But I don't think any of us expect them to actually make a move for
the Rangers aren't going to sell at the deadline.
Yeah, which is interesting because I've heard from elsewhere that the Rangers are leaning towards sell. So that's part of this market. And I think people are frustrated when they hear Mo talk about patience. And a lot of time people are right to be frustrated with it. But when it comes to the deadline, especially this deadline, like you got like all these teams are waiting on each other to kind of define themselves. Yeah, because they're all waiting for themselves to define themselves. Because even like the sellers don't want to sell until they know who the buyers are, right? Because like this one team might be like the Rangers, for example, if they sell, then obviously they're not going to buy from the White Sox. But like if they buy, then maybe the White Sox want the Rangers to help up the bidding, right? So like none of these moves are going to happen until probably a day or two before the deadline starts. And so it's frustrating and people, and it makes people feel like, okay, the Cardinals aren't going to do anything, but it's like name a fan base, name a team that really has done anything right now. And the trades are made midseason. Besides Luis Arias, they're usually like a guy that just got DFA'd, right? It's not the big moves. The thing that we do need to watch out for, if you're watching Cardinals, yeah, not that. The thing we do need to watch out for as like people who watch the Cardinals and are wanting to know what they're up to is we need to see what teams are selling, because the supply will equal the demand and the price point. And the more supply that's out there, the more likely the Cardinals are to go and get a slightly bigger name. The less supply is out there. Like if the Rangers don't sell, that is multiple top arms that won't be available. If the Blue Jays sell, but they're not willing to give up any of their controllable arms, that's a lot less arms that are available. There are a lot of teams out there right now that still haven't defined if they're a buyer or seller yet. And if a lot of them go buy or kind of stand pat, then I do think it's really likely we don't see the Cardinals add someone significant. But if there's enough sellers out there, I mean, the Dodgers, I know that they usually do make a lot of big deadline splashes, but like you follow them, Andrew, like with all the injuries they have, I don't think they can afford to do multiple huge splashes this time around. So if they go and get Crochet, I don't think they're also getting Jack and getting another big guy, right? Like, I don't think the Orioles go and make 2 big moves. I think they'd make 1. So like the trickle down is there if the Cardinals want to be aggressive, but I think part of it will be the supply part of things, because I don't think any of us would be happy if they overpay for Erick Fedde, right? But like if it's a good deal, he's a good starter. Like, as much as a lot of us want Nathan Eovaldi, you don't want to overpay for that either. So it's going to be an interesting market, and it's just hard for us to say what they will do right now because no one knows what, like, teams don't know what the market looks like right now. So I don't know, but I do want to know from you guys in the chat. People are putting in there, like, what are your hopes for the deadline? And then maybe what do you think is good? Like, how are you reading it right now? I'd say my hope is they get a frontline starter. So again, not like Garrett Crochet, Tarek Skubal range, but they go and get like Nathan Eovaldi. Erick Fedde's probably the floor for me there. Zach Eflin's in that range, but someone like that's a difference maker that could pitch game 2, game 3 of a postseason series, and you're not necessarily loving it, but they can do it. Eovaldi, you probably do. Scherzer. Then they add another bullpen arm and they add a bat. Like I think they can do that and be a contender in the National League. Andrew, what are what are the things you want to see them do at this deadline?
I mean, I want to see them add 2 starters because I feel like that's where the need really is, and then add like a bat, and then kind of like force one of the other guys into the bullpen. Because I feel like we're lacking that long relief option. I feel like Matthew Liberatore is not really viable in that option. I prefer him to go 1 or 2 at most instead of like mop up duty. And we kind of saw it today. Like his first inning was pretty good, and then his second inning was just really bad. Probably get like a top end arm, like maybe like towards the lower end, like an Erick Fedde, and then get like a bargain bin name like James Paxton or something like that, just to kind of shore up the back end of that rotation a little bit. Just have more options in there. And I mean, the bat, like I think I just wrote about this on Redbird Rants. It's like I don't want Brent Rooker, I don't want Luis Robert. It's just too expensive for one of those guys right now, and you're not going to force out Alec Burleson unless you like trade Lars Nootbaar, which I think is something that is unpopular but could end up happening. Like, wow, that might could be something that happens. Like maybe flip into the Dodgers. Or here's my question: is like, do you trust the Cardinals with a reclamation project like Bobby Miller or Reed Detmers?
Bobby Miller's not a reclamation project yet.
Well, Bobby Miller, like he went back to AAA because he's like cooked, right? And that's the same with Reed Detmers.
I think he's just having a struggle. I wouldn't call him a reclamation yet. He was good last year's, right? It's like Jordan Walker. He's not a reclamation yet. He's a 22-year-old.
Speaking
Reed Detmers had like the best metrics on the Angels before.
Yeah, his has been a little bit. I feel like his is like Bobby Miller was just more electric.
Oh yeah,
like
right.
Would you guys though flip Jordan Walker for Bobby Miller? I think I would.
I don't want to say yes. I've been dreaming on Jordan Walker for years, and I really want to see it come to fruition.
I really like Bobby Miller.
I like Bobby Miller a lot too. I think I'm probably falling into like sunk cost fallacy at this point with Jordan Walker, where it's like I've invested too much like excitement.
What have you? Do you have like a jersey or like cards or anything?
I have a jersey already. I was thinking about buying a jersey, but I just would be real. Like I've invested so much like emotion into Jordan Walker at this point. I would be devastated to see them trade him.
I wish I could put a poll in the chat, but if you guys, when we throw some of these deals out, because I think we'll start throwing some stuff at the fan, like let us know what you think, if you would do stuff like that, or if you would trade a certain player. In general, I'm not trading Jordan Walker right now, but I'm definitely more open to it than I was. The right deals there. Like, I'm going to be honest, if there's a way to get Mason Miller and Brett Rooker from the A's, Jordan Walker's on the table for me.
Yeah.
Because Brett Rooker,
starter.
Yeah, that's the other thing people are forgetting. Like, Mason Miller could be a dominant closer for you for 5 years, cost controlled, or he could be a frontline starter next year, like the A's have been planning on doing, because they put him in the bullpen this year to get him back on the rotation, get him throwing some more, but to kind of hurt, not hurt his arm a little bit. But Mason Miller can get, like, imagine that stuff, throwing every 5th day, 5 or 6 innings for you. Like,
Well, imagine
Mason Miller. Yeah, true.
Imagine getting Mason Miller and flipping Helsley.
So that's okay. This is my dream. Okay.
Then you go get Kjerstad, and then it's like, do I like Kjerstad or Walker more? And I have Mason Miller on my team now.
This is the thing. That's why I think Andrew talked earlier. How does Mason Miller help you? Here's my thing. I'll start the Brett Rooker side of it. Here, I'm putting out like on Red Bird Rants, like, and because this is what we're doing right now. We're having fun, right? Like we know that's not going to happen. But here's why I think it's worth considering. If you flipped Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Tink Hence, and who is the fourth piece I put in that? Yeah, it's I mean, it's going to cost you. Like you can't get these deals done without it hurting. Like if someone comes up with a blockbuster move and you don't think it's painful, then it's probably not realistic. Like it's got to make you be uncomfortable. And Yvonne Herrera. So I said Walker, Herrera, Hence, Gorman for Mason Miller and Brett Rooker. Now here's my argument for it. You're only losing one piece of your major league roster right now, and Nolan Gorman, and you're slotting Brent Rooker in for him, and you need that right-handed production. Jordan Walker, you kind of like, if you told me if you asked me, like, would you want Brent Rooker numbers from Jordan Walker? I would smash the button on that right away and say, I'll take it. That is what I want Jordan Walker to become. And we also have questions about
the top 10 hitter in the American League. So
exactly. So it's like, and they have questions about his defense. Well, guess who else has questions about their defense? Jordan Walker. So like, again, I'm really high on Jordan Walker still, but I like the idea of Brett Rooker kind of like replacing that. You've got 3 years of control too. So like the control matters here for me. You're not getting a rental. You're also not getting Juan Soto where you have to give up 8 times this plus give him $500 million. Very different situation. Then you get Mason Miller, who gets the postseason, Andrew. You get through 5 innings. The 6th and 7th inning gets covered by Fernandez, JoJo, and Kittredge. And then the 8th and 9th inning are Mason Miller and Ryan Helsley. Like, I'm not telling you this team should be the favorite, but you can see a way where they upset teams with that. Gets the offseason, you flip Ryan Helsley for whatever you can get. Now, if you want to keep Mason Miller as your closer, if not, Mason Miller can slot into your rotation. So you like, who do we want Tink Hence to become? Mason Miller. So basically, you're trading Jordan Walker for what you want him to become. You're trading Tink Hence for what you want him to become. And then the premium you're paying is you're also having to give up Nolan Gorman and Yvonne Herrera for the certainty of those guys because you're giving away the risk. I think the A's, I don't know if that would get it done, but I think that's kind of in the range the A's would be interested because you're getting a lot of different guys to fill out their roster for the future. Like 19 years of team control versus like 9 from those guys.
Sure.
I think, just saying, like, I don't think it's possible. I don't think it would happen, but yeah, man, I'd be interested.
I would really consider saying yes. I also think Oakland might say no for a couple of reasons. Number one, like, it's just the total amount of value. Like, it's probably not there still.
I think the Brent Rooker being a DH and 30 already, I think it hurts his value some, but he's more valuable than other people think. Like some people are like, you don't have to give up anything.
Plus.
Yeah, he's electric.
He's a stud. Brent Rooker is like a top 15 hitter in baseball right now. He's a stud. Not only that, he's a top 15 hitter in baseball with control and with projectability. Like,
would you do those 4? If the A's were Sandy,
yeah, probably.
How much more would you add to it before it's
very little?
You can't do it.
Very little.
Okay.
I think it'd be really hard because you're just giving up so much. And I just think Oakland says no. I think when you think about the Sean Murphy saga, every time I talk about this, I get upset. The Cardinals need a catcher. Oakland has a catcher. Everyone's linking the Cardinals to the A's. There's chatter between the two, and the negotiations stall when Oakland, just for Sean Murphy, okay, who is much less valuable than Brent Rooker right now, because Sean Murphy was good, but like Brent Rooker
I feel like at the time, because he was a catcher, like he was an elite defensive catcher and a good hitter at the time.
Sure, but like I think I would give more for Rooker right now than I would for Murphy then. And Mason Miller is worth way more right now. You think about what they asked.
Would you rather have Sean Murphy or Wilson Contreras? I don't think it's worth getting upset over.
Oh, I'd rather have Wilson Contreras too. No, it worked out. But just when you
but at the time it was frustrating.
Right. No, I understand the sentiment.
When you think about the fact that they wanted Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar and Gordon, and Gordon Graceffa at the time was a top 100 prospect. So you're talking about like, this is an insane amount of value. That is probably equivalent right now to, I don't know, Quinn Matthews is probably equivalent to where people were ranking Graceffa at that point. Maybe not. Maybe Matthews is worth a little more, but honestly,
Matthews is worth way more. Graceffo was like borderline top 100. A lot of people have Matthews as like a top 60, top 50 prospect now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which part of the, so this is why I think also too it could convince Oakland, because like they want 2 top 100 prospects, but you're not going to get 2 top 20 prospects in baseball for Mason Miller or Brett Rooker, either of those guys. Jordan Walker, you're getting the pedigree of a top 5 prospect in all of baseball 2 years ago, and he's still 21, 22 years old.
Still so
like,
projectable.
so
it's still going to be
good. The shine has rubbed off. We're not going to act like that hasn't happened. But then Tink Hence is a top 50 prospect, or according to Baseball America, top 25 prospect in all of baseball. I think they have him at 24. And then you're getting Nolan Gorman, again, who's a guy that could hit 30 bombs this year and play second base. And you're getting Ivan Herrera, who could be a really, really good catcher if you can just figure out his arm. So, like, I think that's where, like, you're getting a lot of quality there and quantity. You're getting 4 quality assets.
I just think that
for a closer and a DH.
And I don't
they are elite
for their timeline. I don't think they care about that timeline right now. Like, if you ask Oakland, are they trying to win right now? Does Gorman work for them? Gorman's a free agent before they're winning.
Yeah, but I mean, you also look at value plays, right? Like, they can trade him later too. Like, it's not necessarily they don't have to get all prospects back. But then also, like, okay, take out Gorman and throw in JC and Jerpy. Like,
yeah, that's
like lot. You could do something different. It is a lot, but I mean, most of the time, these big prospect packages, like, the reason the Nationals one was so risky and it's working out for them is because they got quality and quantity. They got 6 or 7 good prospects.
Like, Hassel and Susana have fallen off the map, but it doesn't matter because Abrams and Wood are stuck.
Exactly. And the problem when you do a big deal and you only have one centerpiece is that you're hinging on the centerpiece to work out. True. Or if you do quantity, then it's like, well, we got a bunch of guys back, but it's like the Jack Flaherty trade, right? It's like you got Pareto, who's fine. Drew Rom, okay. And then Zach Showalter, you never know. But like, it's like, you rarely get quality and quantity in a deal, and that's what Oakland could do if they package them together. And I think the Cardinals are uniquely positioned to give them some guys that, because they also need to sell tickets in Sacramento to Vegas. And again, Jordan Walker's not, I don't know where he'd rank as a prospect right now if he went back to a prospect, but like, again, pedigree of a top 5 prospect in all of baseball. Again, Nolan Gorman was the top 20 prospect in all of baseball. Tink Hence is top 25 now. Anyways, I think it's interesting. I also think Tarek Skubal would be awesome, and I'd be willing to part with Lars Newbar.
I'd move a lot more for that. I'd move for Skubal. But here's the other question. Like, let's think about the Cardinals right now. A problem with the Cardinals is that they have not built smartly, like intelligently. They have not built, what's the word I'm looking for? Sustainably for the past few years. You think about, like, they made some all-in moves. Like, the Marcell Ozuna move was an all-in move. And it didn't feel like it at the time because you didn't move your top prospects, but you ended up moving your best guys, and the system has suffered. The Cardinals made all-in moves, and they have suffered. You talk about doing this, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, where are the Cardinals in 5 years?
Okay, well, what's the definition this doesn't work? Because, again, you talk about Ozuna, that's 2 years of control on him.
Yeah.
And one guy. You're talking about 5 more years of Mason Miller and 3 more years of Brett Rooker. That's why a part of it, like, it's hard to give up that much quality and that much quantity for anyone. But when you look at the years of control you're getting back, like, what if next year, if Mason Miller is your closer for the next 5 years, I think it's worth it. But then you're also baking in the idea that it's like, this guy could be a number 1 starter for me next year and would cost nothing. He'd be making the league minimum for you. So that's where I think you got do you want the 2 birds in a hand or 4 in the bush? I would take 2 birds in the hand right away. So I don't know, Andrew, what are you thinking? Like, whether it's this or something big, like, would you be willing to mortgage some of these guys that we hope turn into something? But I mean, they could also become Dylan Carlson, or are you more of like, they need a whole pat on these type of guys? Or, I mean, I know it depends on the type of guy you're getting back, but
I'm never one to hoard prospects, but I don't know. This seems like a lot, and I mean, it would be really exciting, I think, for the first like month of this. It'd just be like with this new team. But I mean, I don't think this would get done. I think it's fun to speculate, but
it's fun.
I do think the Cardinals should go all in. I just don't know if they should go all in like in this sort of fashion. I think all in this year looks a little bit different. It looks like getting a Scherzer, getting like another like low tier arm, adding like a Randall Grichuk, and then like in the off season, hopefully spending your money on some of those big free agents that are about to happen. Like there's a couple guys that wouldn't it be so funny if Pete Alonso and Stubby Klopp were together? I don't think that would happen. I don't really want him. He's not my favorite, but wouldn't it be funny? I think I was looking at the free agent list the other day, and he was one of the guys. I was like, oh, I didn't realize he was a free agent, but that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But like there's a lot of guys that you can go out and get this offseason that I think are going to be like really good for next year, and a lot of these guys are going to develop. I think it makes more sense if you're going to make an all-in move to do it with the money instead of doing it with the prospects, because I think you have a lot of prospects that you're really high on, and you're not the A's. Like you don't have to make trades just to get your good players. Like you can do it in other ways.
True, but again, when you do these cost control guys, like you can also spend money when you acquire a Mason Miller and Brett Rooker because they make no money. When instead, like go back to the Juan Soto thing, like people just don't always wrap their head around that. I think he made $30 million in arbitration the next season.
Yeah.
Like you were paying for a guy you had to pay $30 million the next year, and then whatever he got in arbitration this next year, which is probably close to 40, and then also to pay him $500 million to keep him around, and give up 8 top prospects. Versus this one, you're getting 2 guys who don't cost anything for 3 years and 5 years, who are elite talents, and you're giving up 4 or 5 guys maybe. So here, I'm gonna throw out some other ones. If you guys, I want to hear your guys' reactions. We don't have to go in depth on all of them, but if you guys have stuff in the chat too, like someone asked, I guess we can talk about this. Would you put Jordan Walker in a Erick Fedde? 1,000%. Erick Fedde's maybe outside of Paul Skenes, the second best starting pitching or asset in all of baseball. 1,000% you put Jordan Walker into a deal for that.
I'm really mad at the meeting Chris Sale in like some sort of Tyler O'Neill package. I wanted him so bad, but whatever.
That'd be awesome.
So nice.
Here was my Tigers package. Nootbaar, Walker, Hentz, and Herrera for Erick Fedde. It's going to cost an arm and a leg to get it done. I don't know if I do it, but
I think
it costs.
I think I might say no to that.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So you don't. You also get your AL Cy Young pick wrong.
Yeah, that would suck.
It's
too.
true.
He's gonna win it if he doesn't.
Okay. How about would you trade Nolan Gorman for like Brian Wu or Bryce Miller?
Maybe.
Ooh, maybe. Miller.
I think I would.
Probably not.
I don't like Miller's projectability that much.
Wu's been good this year. He's been hurt some though. Here's a wild one. Would you trade Tink, Yvonne, and Gordon Graceffo for Justin Steele?
Yeah.
I would.
In a heartbeat. Justin Steele was amazing last year.
I would.
And
I think
he
it
shut
costs
down
more.
Chicago, and I would love every second of it.
What does a certain Japanese starting pitcher cost?
It's probably a lot. And then, okay, we talked about Bobby Miller versus for Jordan Walker. I would 1,000% do Bobby Miller for Nolan Gorman.
Oh, yeah, I would say yes to that. It just stinks. Like the Cardinals have had, I don't know, we just haven't had these guys hit. They're like tied. It just feels like with all of these guys that have come up over the past 10 years, almost nobody has hit even their like, I mean, Donovan has for sure. But besides him, who else has hit their like 80th?
Lars Nootbaar was not even a top 30 prospect in our system. So
yeah. I know Lars Nootbaar, fine.
It's the guys who aren't top prospects that are performing. Brendan Donovan, well, Lars Nootbaar this year hasn't, but like, and Al Burleson was a borderline top 100 guy.
Burleson was in like the 70s or 80s at one point.
I think at like his highest, but like he wasn't like Walker pedigree, Carlson pedigree.
I guess Wynn is hitting like his 90s.
Yeah, Wynn is.
JJ Weatherholt turns into Paul DeYoung in 5 years.
No, JJ's
don't
different.
Say
JJ's
stuff
different.
like that. Don't manifest that.
JJ's different. I don't think I've seen some things. I don't think you can include JJ in a trade.
I mean, you guys said Walker was different from Carlson, and now you're making comparisons. So
I'm not saying Walker is Carlson.
It is different.
There's every chance that a year from now, we're like, it was stupid to talk bad about Jordan Walker. He's the best hitter on the team. He's going to receive MVP votes. Like, it's very possible he just breaks out. It's just hard. Like, I'm frustrated right now. Look at the last top overall prospects. Jordan Walker was the #1 prospect in baseball at one point. Look at the other guys who've been that. Ronald Acuna Jr., MVP, stud. He can't stay healthy right now, but like absolute stud.
Yeah.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. had one of the best seasons ever in like 2021. Now, granted, there have been ups and downs, but like everyone kind of agrees he's an all-star.
Yeah.
These other guys who've been it's Paul Skenes.
Yeah. Also, let's be clear. I mean, at least I'm talking for myself. I think you guys too. I don't think any of us are like, hey, like we hate all these guys. Get rid of all of them. I'm throwing out deals where you're getting like the AL Cy Young Award winner with multiple years of control. I'm talking about getting the best closer we've seen ever and a power hitting bat like that have a lot of control. Like that's the conversation where I'm like, okay, you consider moving Walker, you consider moving Gorman. Yeah, I'm not out on these guys. I'm not flipping these guys for whatever, because I still believe they have the potential, but there's also the certainty that you already see in some other guys where you're like, yeah, be nice to have that. So, and we also know, like we said at the top, none of these things are going to happen. But I think the more I've thought about it, because when people threw out, like, I don't like Crochet, Robert, because Crochet is not going to be a starter the whole year probably, and I just don't like Robert. So those deals I don't love. But the more I kind of shot down the idea of some like bigger deals like that, but more I've thought about it, like, it's not going to happen. But if I were in their shoes, why not consider it? Yeah. To me, if you're getting control back on stuff like that. But Kareem just asked, like, what are the odds that Skubal is moved the deadline? I think super low.
But I think it'd be good for the Cardinals if he did get moved.
It would be good. Yeah.
What's the best case scenario for the Cardinals at this deadline?
That everyone gets moved. Like, the more people who get moved, the better. Which sucks because other teams upgrade, but I don't know, like if Skubal and Crochet and Robert and, I mean, name all the names you want, the more they get moved, the better for the Cardinals.
I wish the Marlins would actually sell their controllable assets. I wish the Mariners would lose 10 in a row and sell.
The Marlins' controllable assets are all on the IL. Like,
I guess. I don't know. If I was, dude, I wish the Cardinals would buy low on some Marlins arm, like Max Meyer. Like, just pick an electric arm who you could buy super. It would take nothing to acquire some of those guys right now. And the reward is possibly so high.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I wish they were in this position last year. Oh, well.
That's true. Okay, we were getting a fair question. We should probably address it. What do we think is the most realistic outcome? I think I'll go first. I think like Fedde and a reliever, but not someone that's gonna make you super excited. Like, not Carlos Estevez, not Kirby Yates, but maybe David. Brebbia. Like Brebbia and maybe a Pham. But like two small things, and I think they go get a Fedde. But that's my realistic. I hope it's a step above that, though.
I'll take a Grichuk because I think that there's going to be a setback with Edman. I'm calling it. I don't think Edman's
going to boldest prediction.
Center, though? Is he even like a good center fielder?
Center. He's pretty solid. He's like strong defensively. I would take Grichuk. I think it's going to be Grichuk, Quantrill, and show me Nardi from the Marlins.
Okay.
As a reliever. Like, it's so boring. It's not even fun. And when we're talking about when it happens, we're going to be like, yay.
True.
I'm going to go Scherzer because that would be fun. And he's in Mo's age range. And people can move on that.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I keep saying I want like a platoon bat, but I don't even know who I would go after because they all sound so boring. Let's say like
Pilar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's been really bad recently. He seems like someone that they might go after. I don't know. He seems like a Paul DeYoung, like he gets DFA'd. Like, he goes like 1 for 27 and then just gets DFA'd. That seems like what would happen with a guy like that.
Yep.
I don't know. And then
there's every chance
for a reliever, I don't know. Well, Brebbia. I said it earlier. Josh stole it, so I'll say him as well.
Well, I was just like, you're right. Brebbia works. So
pick some bummy reliever on the Angels that they're going to trade.
I do think that would be so hilarious that they swapped. I know I threw it out a couple weeks ago. Swap Carlson for a reliever on the Nationals. It'd be cinema.
Floro's worth more now.
It'd be cinema. It'd be
because of the Soto stuff.
Oh, it'd be so funny. Can you imagine Twitter if Soto or if they're like, they could have traded Carlson for Soto?
But you had a bolder prediction. You had a bolder prediction that Carlson would get flipped for Soto for like our April Fool's thing. What if he gets flipped for like Gregory Soto? Does that count?
That counts. That has to count.
Then I'd hit one. It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh. I still stand by the Soto deal would have been dumb, but at the price point. But it's okay.
Depending on how these guys turn out.
Yeah.
You never know.
Mason Wynn.
Walker's a bust.
It's also, I mean, if they were gonna re-sign Juan Soto, then that's a totally different conversation. But we all know they never were gonna do that. So it sucks.
Well, we might have won the World Series in 2022, so we could be talking about a completely different situation.
Yeah, I still don't. Yeah, you never know what could happen with that. That's true. So having the years that Pujols Nato, Goldschmidt had, you add Soto to that mix. Whew, man, that could have been nasty, but it's over. Also, there was a chat in here earlier about could they trade JJ Weatherholt? They weren't saying they should, but like, is that something they could consider? I don't think you can even move him right now. Like, I don't think CBA wise you can. If you can, I think they have to technically be a player to be named later. So like, it's not officially JJ. I'd have to look into that more. I can't remember. But yeah, so
also does work. Can you just like say that you're going to give Weatherholt and then just give like Moises Gomez or something in like a year? Can you just decide?
No, I don't think it works like that. I think you have like an agreement on like who it's going to be, or between like I pick between one of these two or something like that. But I don't know. Is there any other names that people should be keeping an eye out?
Victor Vodnik. He's a good reliever in Colorado. Too much control, though. They won't trade him. It's just so unfortunate. Jose Quintana, but the Mets aren't selling anymore. Frankie Montas, but the Reds won't trade in division.
Yeah, that's true. I do think Pete Fairbanks from the Rays would be really fun.
That'd be awesome. It'd be a great get.
Yeah.
There's Jose Quintana, but they're not going to sell. Maybe they would buy and sell at the same time and trade Quintana.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I do want to talk about one. We've been riffing so much. I forgot. I really want to talk about one of our sponsors, 314 Sports Cards. We've talked about them a few times already, but as we're talking about the trade market and talking about all these different players, you can go acquire your own players on Sports Trading Cards. They're on 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet, and they're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. They do sports trading cards. They buy, sell, and trade cards, and they also do Pokemon cards as well. They have new cards, old cards, all the different kinds of stuff. So definitely go check them out and let them know we sent you. I know that some of you have already gone out and checked them out or told them you're interested in some of their products. Instagram is a great place to find what they've got going on already, but obviously you can go visit them in store as well. That's fun. And then also, if you're wanting to make it out to the ballpark at all this year, because I do think, I don't know, even if the Cardinals don't make the biggest moves in the world, I do think it'll be a fun stretch here at least. We'll see if they can be competitive. Make sure you use code NewtNews. Remember, former podcast name on SeatGeek, because you can get $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more. So that's pretty nice if you and a friend go to a game. Get $20 off your purchase. And so save some money anytime you can. It also doesn't have to be for a Cardinal game. You could use it for any sporting event, concerts, all kinds of stuff. So remember to use code NewtNews for that as well. It's been a really fun chat tonight. And so thanks to everyone who's shown out for that. Again, we will be live Sunday. And then we have the trade live stream, which the deadline's Tuesday, I believe, right? Or Wednesday?
I think it's Tuesday. Wednesday?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will we'll be live for the deadline. We'll be covering obviously what the Cardinals do as well as other teams around the league. So make sure to catch that. Should be a fun time. We had a great time with Kareem on our live stream not that long ago for the draft. And so we hope you join us for the trade deadline and hear our live reactions to the good, the bad, or the ugly of the trade deadline. So again, I will probably log off for like 5 minutes to cool down if they trade for Tyler Anderson. I'll be so mad.
Wait, so rank these guys in terms of how angry you would be. Ready?
Oh,
okay.
Gosh.
Let's go. Tyler Anderson, Trevor Rogers, Cal Quantrill, and give me someone else who's like maybe less exciting.
James Paxton.
It's good.
I don't know why they let him go. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why they let him go. But
Tyler Anderson, easily number one. I'd be the most mad. Because he's not good.
Well, yeah, but like neither of these other guys.
But he also cost you $11 million next year, and I think you're gonna have to trade more to get him. I don't want him. And part of the problem is I don't want the Cardinals convincing themselves, we have Tyler Anderson under contract for next year. We'll be fine. No, thank you. Okay. So no to Tyler Anderson, please. Yeah, do not. You said Trevor Rogers probably number 2 for me because I think it costs you a little bit, and I'm like, why?
I'd be so mad.
Yeah. The Cal Quantrill is growing up just because he's got the aura.
You made a Trevor Rogers package, Sandy.
There are some people who talk about Cal Quantrill splitter could be, it could be something. So I'd probably put James Paxton 3 and then Cal Quantrill 4. But I wouldn't be excited about Quantrill either. I don't get the point of it. But
what about like a Kikuchi?
I want to be mad. I'd just be like, oh, that feels on brand.
What if they don't do anything, and then it, like with 5 minutes left, we hear the Cardinals made a trade, and it is like some bummy reliever, and that's all you get. You know how great that would be?
Oh no.
Oh, dude, that would be so funny.
Some guy that was just DFA'd, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy's got a 6 ERA, doesn't strike out to anyone, but sometimes gets a ground ball." So we'd
The
really love
Genesis
to.
Cabrera of 2024.
Oh gosh, they returned Ryan Fernandez to the Red Sox to make room for him.
Oh no,
there's no way. Oh, Gomber would have been the other name we should have talked about instead of like. Anyways, I'd be so mad about Austin Gomber.
I still think that's not a terrible deal.
No, I don't think you do that right now.
What if they paid all of Arenado's contract?
Then it's interesting.
Well, they already
but
are.
First, they signed Gomber to a 10-year, $1 billion extension.
All right, we're going unhinged now. Oh man.
How much of it is deferred?
How much of it is deferred?
All of it.
All of it
until 2100.
Till 2100. Oh, then I'm in. I'll be dead. So who cares? Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Obviously, we always appreciate the fun banter on here as well. So let us know if you've got more stuff coming. We've got some different content ideas we want to try out soon too. So be on the lookout for just some different styles of videos. Again, even more different than like these video essay stuff. We have a fun time with you guys. So we want to try some different things. Reach out to us on Twitter. Obviously, you can join our Discord too if you join the channel membership. So the best way to do it's on the YouTube internet browser, and you can find a way to do that as well. We have chats in there as well. It's a great way to interact with us offline and to have more pointed conversations versus Twitter and X, because anyone can join in on those. But yeah, we'll be live again on Sunday to recap the National Series, which really need to take some games. That'd be huge. And then we'll have hopefully some more clarity on the deadline by then too. And then we'll also have our trade deadline live stream on Tuesday. So we're really excited about all that. Yeah, had a lot of fun, guys. So Cleveland, I don't want to, Seth, Vincent, Brian, these are the names I'm seeing pop up. Space Magic Storm, Kareem, all of you guys. Super fun to see you guys. So yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on our next episode on Sunday.
Thanks, Mo.